Ginny Anderson.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Social Development and Employment. Does she stand by her statement? Our priority is building a strong economy to reduce the cost of living, support more people into work and lift incomes for women to help them and their families out of hardship. If so, how does the Equal Pay Amendment Bill contribute to lifting women's incomes?
The Honourable Louise Upston.
Mr Speaker, yes. The Equal Pay Act provides a process to raise and resolve claims of sex-based discrimination. The changes being made are to ensure the process is robust, workable and sustainable. The Government is committed to maintaining a process to raise and resolve pay equity claims. Where a genuine claim is identified and addressed, this will lift incomes of women covered by the claim.
Point of order, the Honourable Kieran McAnulty.
So the question specifically asks around the Equal Pay Amendment Bill, which was passed yesterday, well, during this period of urgency. The answer by the Minister was talking about the Equal Pay Act, which was not what the question was about.
Well, I suppose it doesn't become an act until it's... Well, would the member like to correct that term?
Mr Speaker, it is the Equal Pay Amendment Act that will be given royal assent very shortly.
Good, that's good. That'll save a lot of corrections. Yep. Ginny Anderson.
Supplementary. What action is she taking to raise the incomes of Māori and Pacifica women who are once again overrepresented in the latest unemployment figures and who will also be hit the hardest under the Equal Pay Amendment Bill?
Well, Mr Speaker, I disagree with the second part of that question, where there is a genuine claim under the Equal Pay Amendment Act that is soon to be given royal assent. Of course, they will be able to lodge a claim. What I've said in this House in the debate a couple of days ago, that the member seems to not understand, which is a bit staggering really, is there are two different issues. One is pay equity, one is low wages. And unfortunately the member is conflating the two. Not all issues of low pay are to do with pay equity. Hello.
The Honourable Ginny Anderson.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Does she stand by her statement? If we want an equitable future where poverty is eradicated, we must strengthen our commitment to empowering women and girls and to ensure that no one is left behind. And if so, how does scrapping 33 pay equity claims ensure that no one is left behind?
Mr Speaker, of course I agree with my statement.
What is she doing to support the 6,000 additional women on JobSeeker, and how does cutting their pay help incentivise women into work?
Well, Mr Speaker, the member's talking about those on the JobSeeker benefit, so they receive a benefit. I'm not sure that they receive pay at the moment. I do want them to receive pay, which is why I'm focused on getting them off welfare and into work.
How can she hold her head up and commit to lifting women's pay when her government has passed retrospective legislation under urgency that wrecks 33 equity deals and will result in billions of wages not going to workers, almost all who are underpaid women?
Mr Speaker, I would say to the House that member needs to be very, very careful with her words. There is no deal. It is a claim. It is a claim that's being considered and a claim that can be resubmitted for consideration. If the claim is valid and has merit, then those women will receive a pay equity settlement and will get a lift in their income.
Just remind people to my right that questions are heard in silence and answers aren't given halfway through the question. Sam Uffendale, question number 9. Sorry? Ian?
It's long been the expectation in this House that statements made in questions should be able to be verified and authenticated as correct. And I would like to point out, and I'd encourage you to look over the Hansard at some point in the next few days, that opposition members have fallen into a habit of making statements which are factually untrue in their questions and supplementary questions. It's either sloppy because they don't know what they're talking about, or it's willfully misleading.
There was a point of order.
Listen, there was a point of order being taken. You may not like it, but you listen to it in silence. That is also a long-standing convention of the House. I'll follow that course of action, but let me just make it very clear that the question time is a time for ministers to answer the questions that are put in front of them. Yes, they should be answerable, and I'll certainly look at them on that basis. The Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Just for the public's interest, is it a true thing to say that the government has cancelled 33 deals? Or is it the truth that the deals were never there in the first place and that this House has been dramatically misled?
Absolutely.
A point of order, the Honourable Kieran McAnulty.
Leaving to one side my long-standing concerns around abusive questions in this House, we've had a point of order from a minister essentially accusing us of lying. That is directly after interjecting during the question, calling us misleading, and now a question from the acting Prime Minister doing the same. Now, I accept that you are going to review it, but at the very least, we would expect that any assertion that any member of this House is being dishonest should be pushed back on against you.
Well, let me just review the afternoon. So a few minutes ago, you were requiring the Minister for Social Development and Employment to correctly name a bill. What Mr Peters just asked the Minister is it true that there were no deals done? And if the pedantic exercise is to be followed right through, there were no deals done, obviously, because these were cases before the court. So I don't think it's unreasonable for that question to be asked in the context of getting everything, all the time, 100% accurate on all matters.
Point of order, sir.
Point of order, Ricardo Mendes-March.
I take your feedback just now, but isn't there a difference between, for example, saying that something is just factually incorrect to then accusing someone of misleading? Like a point of order saying the name of an act is incorrect is quite different of accusing another political party of having misled the House. And I do think a distinction should be made, because we have had people recently going to Privileges Committee for example, using language that would have been accusing someone of lying or misleading. And so I just seek your clarification as to whether now we are basically treating factually correcting someone to accusing someone of misleading the House.
Well, you're predetermining an answer that might have come from a minister. To ask a question about whether it was correct to say that deals had been done or deals had been stopped or whatever, I don't think is the huge transgression of the question time process that might be suggested by some. The Honourable Kieran McAnulty, a new point of order.
Thank you very much. It might be easier if this just go and be reviewed. The point of order that I made actually wasn't about the accuracy of the question. It was the fact that there was an accusation of dishonesty against other members of this House, which followed on a point of order, which did the same, and an interjection, which did the same. That is my concern, sir. There is a long-standing convention in this House, in fact a rule, that you cannot infer dishonesty on other members, and it happened 3 times in a row. Now, in order to prevent this dragging on, maybe it's easier if you just commit to reviewing it and coming back, but we're deeply concerned that on 3 instances, by way of interjection, point of order and question, that was allowed to occur.
Yes, and there were most certainly interjections, particularly yesterday, from my left, making exactly those sort of accusations. Are you speaking to point of order? Or
Yes, I am. Out of an abundance of caution, let me make clear that I am aware of standing orders, and the intent of my statements was not to imply dishonesty so much as to make clear that the effect of the statements being made by the member were to mislead.
Well, there's
whether
also,
intentionally or unintentionally.
Let me make it. very clear that there is, there will always be in any debate statements made by people that they find to be their particular truth. That is, some people would say that is misleading, but it is not deliberately misleading. Quite a different thing. And the standing orders deals with deliberately misleading, which is a much higher test.